This video will cover installing Redis and configuring Lizmap to use Redis for storing cache. Lizmap offers three caching options. The default cache storage type used by Lizmap is files. Files, of course, stores the cache and disk in the location specified in the cache root directory. And now let's see how to install Redis and configure Lizmap. We'll be using this single geotiff QGIS project. And of course, in order to use cache with Lizmap, you need to be sure to configure cache for the layers. So be sure that the layer you wish to cache is enabled within the Lizmap plugin. And we'll begin by using app to install Redis, Redis tools, and PHP Redis. Okay, and those have been installed. And we want Redis to run as a service. Let's use systemd to go ahead and enable the service. And start the service. And check the status. Okay, and it's running. And we need to update two of our Lizmap configuration files, Lizmap config ini and profiles ini. Okay, so we're now in the Lizmap var config directory, and we're going to start by editing the profiles ini PHP file. I'm doing this in WinSCP to make it a little more visible for the video. Okay, we're going to go into this section here, JCache QGIS projects. Okay, and we're going to make some changes here. Hey, firstly for driver, we're going to comment this out with a semicolon, and then uncomment driver equals redis underscore ext. And for host, we're going to uncomment that and make that localhost. Okay, and we're also going to uncomment port and db equals 1. Okay, db equals 1 is not used for caching tiles. This parameter here is used for caching metadata. These are WMS requests and so forth. Okay, so our final section for QGIS project should look like this. Enabled 1. Driver equals redis underscore ext. Host is localhost. Port 6379 and db equals 1. And let's go ahead and save our file. And we could, of course, have deleted the lines that we commented out, such as driver equals file. I like to just rather comment them. This way, if there's an error, I can go back and easily see what it was originally to revert it. And now in the same directory, we're going to edit the Lizmap config ini file. Let's go ahead and open that. Okay, and go down to the cache configuration for tile section here. Make a couple of changes. And for cache storage type, it's got the default currently, which is file. We're going to go ahead and change that to Redis. Okay, and for now, we're going to leave all of the other ones here at their default. Cache Redis host localhost, cache Redis DB port 6379. And for cache Redis DB, if we leave this blank, it's going to default to 0. Okay, it's important to note that this parameter here is for caching of our tiles. Okay, in the profiles ini, if you recall. Okay, we have this parameter here, db equals 1. Okay, that was for metadata. Okay, this is not for caching tiles. So we're going to leave this blank to default to 0. If we're going to put something else in here, it cannot be 1. We don't want to use the same database for caching tiles and caching metadata. Okay, I'm going to leave it blank for 0. And cache Redis key prefix is optional, allows you to append a string to the front of the cache file to make it a bit more identifiable. Again, this is entirely optional. I'm just going to go ahead and add a prefix here, mylayer, colon. And let's go ahead and save our file. Okay, so we've updated the Lizmap config ini and profiles ini files. Let's go ahead and restart Apache now for those changes to take effect. Okay, and with our files updated and Apache restarted to pick up the changes, let's go to Lizmap configuration and scroll to the bottom, modify, and under cache, we'll change from files to Redis. And if you notice down here, it picked up the Redis key prefix that we added. And scroll back down and save. Okay, and before generating some cache, let's go ahead and take a look in Redis and see what we have right now. And we'll use Redis CLI to connect. And once we're connected, it'll dump us into database number 0. And if you recall, database 0 is the default database we got by leaving the cache Redis DB empty in the Lizmap config ini. Okay, and if we select all keys, we'll see here that it's empty. We haven't generated any cache yet. And database 0 is our tile cache database. If you recall, for our metadata database, we set db equals 1 in profiles ini. So let's connect to that database now and have a look. And again, keys, we see that's also empty right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some map requests to generate some cache for our project. Okay, and we're going to generate some cache now using map requests. We can also seed the layer if we wish to as well using the Lizmap commands. Let's go ahead and do some map requests though instead and just quickly generate some cache. And let's go back to Redis and take a look at what we have. Okay, and back to Redis. I'm just going to expand this a little bit here because the cache file names tend to be pretty long. Okay, right now we're connected to database 1, which if you recall is our metadata cache. Let's take a look at what we have there. Okay, and we see it's cached the file there. Okay, now let's go back to the 0 database. You just do select 0. And this is a database that you connect to by default with Redis CLI. And let's take a look for keys there. Okay, and we see it's now storing the cache for us. And it's also using the myLayer prefix that we added. So the yellow form is our prefix, and then the repository followed by the project, and then the layer, then the projection, and then the string for the cache file. And just to review, after making sure that our Lizmap project was configured for caching, we updated the Lizmap config and profiles ini files in the var config directory for Lizmap. We then restarted Apache for those changes to take effect. We then modified the cache section in Lizmap admin to change it to Redis. And then we used map requests to generate some cache for our project, and then we confirmed the caching by connecting to Redis.